You want to know how to make a logo reveal like this? Stay, because in this video I'm gonna teach you how to do it. Remember that you can find all the project files of these animations in the description. Let's start by dragging your logo to your composition. I'm going to turn on the transparency grid and rescale your logo. Okay, so first we are going to do the stroke animation. So let's grab the pen tool and make a mask tracing your logo. Now we are going to add the stroke effect. And here you should select your mask. And now we are going to increase the brush size until it covers your logo. You can adjust it a little bit. Also, you have to increase the brush hardness to 100 and decrease spacing to 0. And in this option you should select Reveal Original Image. Now we are going to animate the stroke. So we have to change the end value, but I want it to be backwards, so I'm going to increase the start and then decrease the end value. So let's make a keyframe to end, go forward and change it to 0 or 100. It depends on your case. Now let's assist these keyframes, change in the speed graph, and let's preview. Okay, it's a little too fast. Okay, let's make the first keyframe linear by clicking Ctrl click. Okay, that is good. So now we have to fix this problem here, and to do it we are going to add the effect name Roughen Edges, decrease the fractal influence, and let's animate the border. So make a keyframe, it will be 0. So here will be 0. And here we have to increase it until it gets smoother, like that. Let's preview. And let's see this last keyframe. Good, we have the logo animated. Now we are going to continue by animating the lines. So now go to the ellipse tool and create a circle. Hold shift to make it a perfect circle. And center the circle with Ctrl Alt Home and Ctrl Home. Now it's in the center and it should be a little smaller, so go to Contents, Ellipse and Ellipse Path. Here decrease the size a little bit, like 20, 28, 24. Okay, let's rename this to line. And now go to Position, Alt click in the stopwatch, and let's put the wiggle expression. So we are going to put wiggle 5,80. This first value is for the frequency of the movement, and this last value is for the amplitude, how much it will move. Okay, let's preview, and we have to hide the logo. Okay, now we are going to add the effect name Echo. And here we are going to put the next value, minus 0.0053. And number of echoes, we are going to use 25. You can use more or less. And here you have to change it to maximum. Let's preview. The movement is too little, so we have to increase the amplitude. So we are going to use 350. Also, the ball should be the size of the stroke of your logo. So we have to increase the size here. Like that. And let's see how it goes. Okay, now that we have our line, we have to pre-compose it. But first we have to change the duration of the composition, so press Ctrl K and in duration put like 2 minutes. Let's zoom out a little bit and make the line layer the same duration as the composition. Now pre-compose it, and now you can bring back the duration. And now let's set a wiggle to this composition. So go to position, I'll click and set wiggle 2,300. Let's see how it goes. I think it's a little too much, so let's decrease it to 200. Okay, I think that is good. So now we're going to duplicate this 9 times. Let's duplicate, and as you can see, these 2 layers are the same. So we have to move the second layer in the timeline. And now you can see they are different. So let's make the same thing 8 times more. And now you can see they are more random. And now we have to make the lines to appear here in the beginning and then disappear when the logo is ready. So let's add the effect roughen edges, decrease fractal influence, and set a keyframe for border. And let's solo this layer and let's increase this until the line disappears. Now move forward and see if you can still see the line. Okay, that's visible, so we have to increase it more, like this. So now bring it to 0, and here you can see that it appears. So we are going to do the same thing to the end, make a keyframe and copy and paste this keyframe. Should be a little longer. Also we have to do a extra thing, because if you go to this composition, enable motion blur, you can see the motion blur here. But in this composition you can't see it. That's because of this effect roughen edges. So we are going to add some extra keyframes. So go here and type effect opacity. Here you can see it. Set a keyframe for effect opacity. And now we are going to go to the second keyframe when the border is to 0. And let's zoom a little bit. Bring the effect opacity keyframe here. Go to the next frame and set the effect opacity to 0. Okay, now you can see that the motion blur works. Do the same thing backwards here in the end, set a keyframe and set the effect opacity to 100, so the roughen edges can disappear the line. Let's disable the motion blur for now, for performance. And now let's copy and paste this keyframe to all the other layers. Press U. And now let's offset this layer by a little bit. Okay, stop soloing this layer. Okay, so I forgot to decrease the fractal influence, so you have to decrease all the layers. Okay, now they are looking good. Okay, we also have to offset when the lines disappear a little bit more. If you can still see some lines like this, you have to increase the last border keyframe. So let's select all these keyframes with shift click. And let's increase it to 150. Now let's see if there's no lines. Okay, now we are going to select all the lines and pre-compose it. check off this box and click OK. Okay, now we have to move the logo forward in the composition. Like here, so it completely appears when the lines are disappearing. A little bit more. Okay, so now we have to make a line that connects with the stroke animation. I'm going to hide this. So let's copy the line from this line composition, Ctrl C, bring it here, Ctrl V. And let's remove the wiggle, so I'll click the stopwatch and now it doesn't move. We have to animate this, so make a keyframe to position and let's see where the line starts. Okay, the stroke starts here, so we are going to bring this line here and let's move backwards. Now we have to animate this. Something like that. And now we have to make curves. So select the pen tool and click and drag in these points. So like here, here, and here. Let's preview. Okay, I should not make a curve here. So let's click. I think it should be faster, so let's grab these two keyframes, move it forward. And now we have to make the line to appear and disappear. So let's go to the lines composition. I forgot to rename it. Lines. Grab a roughen edges and paste it here. Move the keyframes here in the beginning. Bring this a little bit back. And here in the end, the last keyframe, put the first keyframe of the border. Now let's preview. Okay, we have the connecting line and now we have to pre-compose these two layers. So pre-compose logo. Okay, now that we have our logo composition, we have to make it move like the lines here. So let's add a wiggle to the composition. Go to the position, I'll click the stopwatch and set wiggle 2,20. Okay, now the logo has some wiggle, but we want to make that the wiggle decreases over time. So let's add the effect name slider control and now go to the expression, select here in the amplitude 20 and with the peak width select the slider value. Okay, now the amplitude will be whatever we set here. So let's set 20 as the keyframe, go forward and set 0. We want the wiggle to decrease at the end, so let's move the keyframes a little bit forward, like here, and see what happens. Okay, it's too abrupt, so we are going to easy this keyframe and modify the speed graph. Let's see how it goes. Okay, let's separate the keyframes like this. And now let's add another effect. So add turbulent displays and let's set these values. For size, let's set 36 and for amount 60. Let's make a keyframe to amount, go it a little bit backwards, go to the end and set 0. Easy is this keyframe too. Okay, and now let's set a expression to evolution, so alt click in the stopwatch and put the next expression, time times 500. Let's see how it goes. Okay, it's looking good. I think we can decrease a little bit the amount of turbulence, like 40. Move it a little bit forward. Okay, I did it backwards. Let's see how it blends with the line's composition. Okay, I see that the lines last too long, so let's modify that. Open the keyframes with U and let's make them last less time. Grab the keyframes and move it a little bit backwards. I will leave some lines to last longer, but the majority will go backwards. Okay, let's see. Okay, now that we have it done, the last thing to do is to go to lines, line composition, and enable motion blur. And this is the last touch to this logo reveal. Okay, it's looking awesome now. So the last thing to do now is to add a background. You can also add a drop shadow for details. So let's trim our work area with N and let's export our animation. And there you have it. Remember that you can download all the project files of these animations in the description. I hope this video was helpful for you. See you in the next tutorial.